Do you ever find yourself feeling stressed and extremely overwhelmed by saying yes to everything and everyone? Discover why being a no person, and yeah, that means sometimes being a bit of a dick, can actually transform your life for the better. In this video, we'll see how the power of no can actually set you free. Saying no isn't about being assertive, confident, or being a bit of a dick, which is how we may feel. It's actually about us setting healthy boundaries. When we say no, we're actually honouring what feels right for us, regardless of how it makes ourselves feel and the other person feel. And interestingly, when we do set healthy boundaries, when we do say no from a place of authenticity and truth, rarely does that make the other person feel angry, upset, or judge us in any way. Now, the problem that I see in other videos is they discuss tactics for saying no, but they never really uncover why we struggle to say no. What is it that we really fear? What's going on underneath? And we'll explore that in this video. But before we go into the deep, dark, painful truth of why we struggle to say no, let's look at the impact and the effect that it has on our everyday life. In truth, being a big fat yes person can lead to extreme stress and overwhelm. We take on too much. We feel like we're being suffocated, like we're burying ourselves in extra work. We overcommit to social responsibilities. And even when our friends invite us out for a coffee or a catch up, deep down we just want to say, no, I just want to lie on the settee, watch Netflix and chill. And yet we still say yes and drive ourselves closer to that burnout and overwhelm. And then don't even get me started on our immediate families, our husbands, our wives, our children, when we constantly say yes to them when really we just want to say no, leave me alone, this isn't okay. So let's look at where this actually comes from. Where does our inability to say no start? Why is it that we feel guilty? Why is it that we feel shame? Why is it that we're so afraid of what people may think of us if we just say no? Well, actually, it comes from very early on in life. You must have heard of the terrible twos, which is, if you've got children, you'll know very well. If you haven't, you were a child at once, and I'm sure your parents talked to you about it. Now, the terrible twos is actually a really important stage of our development. It's where we learn to set boundaries. It's actually where we learn to say, no, this isn't okay for us. Now, what should happen is when we say no and we run around and we throw things around, of course, that's not okay. But when we say, no, I don't want this, no, I don't like this, that's actually us testing our boundaries, seeing what's safe for us, seeing what's okay for us. And that actually should be met with compassion and understanding and not judgment. But the problem is, in these days, good girls and good boys get love and praise, naughty boys and naughty girls get scolded, put on the naughty step, put in the naughty corner. That actually teaches us that our boundaries, our healthy boundaries, our no is not okay. So fast forward into adult life, and we've now learned that saying no is not okay. We've learned that if we say no, we get judged, we get scolded, we get told off, because we should be compliant and we should say, yes, of course I'll do that, that's fine, my needs don't matter. So when somebody does come up to you and ask you to do more work or ask for your help or your assistance, and you really can't, and you really don't want to, and you don't have the capacity to take that on, or you don't have the capacity to go and meet your friend because you're tired, you're burnt out, you still say yes, because you've got the adaptive mechanism, that strategy now. You feel literally shamed and guilt to make sure that when you were younger, you were compliant, and that's how we make sure that the strategy wins over. So I'll say that again. We developed a strategy to shame and guilt ourselves as young children to be compliant and to say yes to everything, and that carries on into adult life. So when deep down we want to say, no, that's not okay for me, we can't, because the shame and the guilt and the fear of being judged comes up. So hopefully, as I say that, there's a truth. You can see that that is a possibility for you, and maybe that's why you struggle in your life to say no, and instead you say yes. So what can we do with this information? Well, as I kind of alluded to before, most strategies are around, just say no. just practice saying no. But what that doesn't do is that doesn't look at the underlying problem. You still have the guilt, shame, and yes, you may say no, but after that you may still feel really bad, really guilty, and you may actually go back to the person and say, oh, actually, yes, no, I can do that now, it's fine. We put our needs to one side for the needs of others, again, because we learned from an early age to say yes and not no. So the way to work with this, next time somebody asks you to do something or go somewhere and you want to say no, you check, okay, yes, I don't actually want to do this. You notice the feelings that come up, and they may be, well, if I say no, I'm a bad person. If I say no, they'll judge me. If I say no, they'll cast me to one side and no longer be my friend, or my boss will get rid of me. And clearly, as you look at that, you know that none of those things are true. If it's a true friend, of course they'll understand, and you can't be fired for just saying no. So just notice that may be another part of you, something else that's scared and afraid. And if you're able to, grab a pen or a pencil and just write it down. Start with the sentence, if I say no, ... and literally just let the pen or pencil write and see what comes up. But just see what happens. Don't think about it, just write. And what will also happen is you'll notice actually that's not true. You'll question, well, does it make me a bad person if I say, I'm really sorry, but at the moment I've got too much work on, I can't do this right now. Or I'm really sorry, I'm extremely busy, I can't meet you for a coffee, but maybe we can do next week. Now, in my own journey, this has been game changing for me. I was diagnosed with bowel cancer 18 months ago now, at time of recording this video. And there were 2 key moments where I really had to check in with myself and exercise my boundaries and my no. It's obviously easy when you're diagnosed with cancer to say yes to everything. Here in the UK, the NHS, who are incredible, you kind of get swept up in this treatment path and they just say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and you've got cancer, you're afraid, there's fear, and you just say yes to everything. But I actually declined to. When it came to my surgery, they wanted to remove my whole colon, which was terrifying because they said that's what we advise. And I had to say, no, that's not right for me. Actually, just remove the diseased part, the tumour. And also when it came to post-surgery, I was advised I needed 6 months chemo. And again, I checked in with myself and it just didn't feel right. So I said no. So you can see that actually our no, yes, translate to everyday life with our friends, with our colleagues, with our bosses, but also it can have profound implications when we say no to real life, huge, scary, big situations that kind of blindside us that we're not expecting. And had I not have done the work on myself, if I'd have not practiced what I preach, then I probably would have ended up going down a completely different route in my cancer and many other walks and aspects of my life. So to summarize, when we say yes, when we truly deep down want to say no, it can be extremely damaging to our lives, to ourselves, to who we are, and to our mental health. Our inability to say no, to put out our healthy boundaries, actually stems from early childhood. It's something that we learned. It's not who you are. And the way we start to say no, being a bit of a dick, instead of saying yes to everything, is by noticing what actually comes up for us when we want to say no. Remember the sentence stem. If I say no, then ... What does that mean for us? And write those things down. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that gives you a bit of a new perspective, a shift on actually why we say yes when really we want to say no. I'd love to hear from you. If you let me know down in the comments if there are areas in your life where you do struggle to say no, and I'll see if I can help out in any way that I can. And also, if this has been useful, I'd love for you to subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Big love, John.